spark in the air, a melody, a dream to share. Through castles tall, through skies so wide, the music's where the magic hides.
A whistle, a hum, a drum beats call.
The songs we love,
They build it all. The music behind the magic. Oh, where every story starts to glow.
Hello and welcome to episode 54 of the Music Behind the Magic podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Goodman, and as always, I'm here to celebrate with all of you the magic of Disney songs, scores, and soundtracks from the movies to the parks. Now, the amazing thing about Disney movies is how they're able to make us feel so many emotions through the use of unparalleled storytelling. With some clever or poignant dialogue, incredible voice acting, and music in the background, of course, we can feel joy, wonder, or even sadness. But what happens when someone wants to convey some of the most complex and personal of emotions? Love, loss, grieving, acceptance, and healing, without any dialogue at all. In the short film Versa, which is now streaming on Disney+, director Malcon Pierce shares his extremely personal voyage through the story of a young couple looking to start a family that experiences that gamut of emotions as they embark on an ethereal and imaginative cosmic dance of life. In the short, because there is no dialogue, music is the guiding force, along with some breathtaking animation, that creates a truly exceptional visual and auditory experience. And the composer of the music for Versa is our friend Haim Mazar, who returns to the podcast to discuss his work on Versa, as well as some other amazing Disney park projects that he has contributed to since he last joined us. But before we jump in, if you are enjoying this podcast, and I hope you are, all I would ask is that you please spread the word and tell a friend, family member, or coworker about it. And only if you think I've earned it, if you happen to have a few seconds to leave a good rating or review so others can find it too, I would be so appreciative. You can reach out to me at any time on email at jonathan@musicbehindthemagic.com, on Instagram, or check out our Facebook group as well. Let me know what you want to hear about, talk about your favorite Disney music, or just say hi. Also, please do sign up for our new newsletter at musicbehindthemagic.com/newsletter for Disney news and the chance to win cool prizes. With all that, I invite you to check out Versa on Disney+. Listen to the music on your favorite streaming service and think deeply about how it makes you feel. And enjoy this episode of the Music Behind the Magic podcast. We are so excited to be joined again by our friend Haim Mazar. Haim is a composer, arranger, and producer who has written music for movies, TV, and the Disney parks around the world. Since we last spoke, he composed the music for the Disney short film Versa, which is available on Disney+, as well as a couple of new attractions, and is also working on the score for the newest installment of the Scary Movie franchise, Scary Movie 6, which opens up on June 5th. Haim, so good to have you on again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jonathan. What a pleasure to be back on the show. Thanks for having me.
It is, I think since we last spoke, we talked about your work at Tokyo Disney Sea. I went there and I think I posted some stuff. Just so remarkable what you were able to accomplish there. And since then, you've had a couple more Disney parks projects. One of them is Tapestry of Happiness and the other is Dreams Take Flight at Tokyo Disney Sea. Would love to start out, kind of talking about that. Let's start, if you don't mind, with Tapestry of Happiness because it's a pretty big deal, part of the 70th anniversary celebration, and tell us about how that came to be. And I watched it. I've not been there, but I've watched it, and it is a remarkable, visually, but even more remarkable sonically what you're able to do. So please tell us about it.
Thank you. Tapestry of Happiness is a great little treat of a show that plays nightly at Disneyland. I believe it plays 3 or 4 times a night. And it's a projection show that takes place on the facade of It's a Small World building. And what it really is it's kind of like a mini show. It's a 6-minute show that is featuring the art of Mary Blair, and
Class.
it's celebrating Disneyland's 70th anniversary by using songs that represent Disney throughout the years and art in different rides and attractions and parades and basically any type of IP that represents Disneyland. And the idea was to take all these ideas and put them in the middle of a cute little song that was written for the 70th anniversary, titled "Celebrate Happy," which was written by the Jonas Brothers,
Classic. Yes.
and use the quotes of all these different songs in between, almost like a medley. But some of the stuff goes by very quickly, so it's a handful of songs that were kind of squeezed into this big love letter, if you will, to Disney.
And the amazing thing about it is, like you said, you're within the context of Celebrate Happy, which is a great classic song. You can't listen to it without, being very, very happy. It's a perfect kind of song for the 70th celebration. But how are you able to quote all these things within? I mean, you're basically working within the structure of the Jonas Brothers song, working all these classic melodies in, and it works so well.
Hmm. Well, I guess that's the magic. Yeah, I mean, so I guess maybe half of the show takes place underneath the bed of the instrumental of the song. So it's almost like, think about it, almost like a karaoke track if you were to
Mm,
strip down the vocals, and then instead of singing the melodies of the song that you're supposed to sing, you're singing melodies of other songs, but they're in the same key. So the main thing is to work in the same key, and then that makes it a little easier to put other melodic material over different harmonies. But there's definitely a lot of musical carpentry and trial and error that happens to kind of make things fit. So first you got to figure out how to make something fit harmonically and melodically on top of another song.
yeah.
And then even if it does, they also need to make sense. So they need to come, in a certain order, to happen in a certain order, and provide a certain lift in a certain section. So it's kind of one of those things. It's like a little bit of a domino effect. So, you can work out on a little section, but it affects everything before and after. And of course, there's requests coming from the executives, and there's also limitations of certain things that we can't use in certain sections, or certain versions of songs that we may not use for different reasons. So it's a challenge, but musically, I would say it all starts by working in the same, similar to parade music. So
Mhm.
when you work in the same tempo and in the same key, it allows you to put different things on top of it. And then with some musical trickery and reharmonization, you can do all sorts of things. And then the other parts of the show are not on top of that song. They kind of veer off. I think the first point where it happened, there's an intro that is not part of the song, and then there's a middle section that kind of veers off to different things. So, and then it comes back. So it kind of starts off with the song, and then it goes into this other section, into these different sections actually. So a little bit like, I like to call these things like a roller coaster ride. So you have
Totally.
ups and downs, and different lifts and sections. So yeah, so that kind of how it goes about it musically. And then at the end of the song, we're bringing back that song again, the Celebrate Happy, and again I'm superimposing It's a Small World on top of the chords of Celebrate Happy. And yeah, so that's kind of how that stuff works in a
It
nutshell.
No, it's great, and it works so well. Either if you go to Disneyland, you should see it, but also definitely look at it YouTube or watch it on YouTube, because it'll definitely make you smile. And I think because it works visually, and it also works, with all the music and the sound, and there's little Easter eggs, and everything is really just a love letter. Because what's more iconic at Disneyland than It's a Small World, and you get the opportunity to use a small world, you use the 70th celebration to create this lasting thing that people are going to love and take away from the 70th celebration party.
It's a true privilege, and a love letter is a great way to describe it. And I think everybody that worked on it felt the same, and it just became this like wonderful little thing that kept growing and growing. And we kept pushing the envelope on like how much more can we fit in there, and what about this, and what about that, and then there were all sorts of wonderful experiences that happened. Some of them just by chance. For example, you mentioned that we were using the song "It's a Small World," and not only that, we're using a new verse that was written specifically for the 70th
Yes.
anniversary, and then it I think in one of my early versions I had that song. Sometimes, again, it kind of happens by chance. Sometimes I'll pull in existing vocals just to try ideas. I'll even pull them off of a YouTube video or like other versions from park shows, and I might strip. Usually, I kind of use but I'll strip out the vocals and I'll kind of time shift it and pitch shift it and make it fit in my demo, just for presentation purposes and just to kind of proof of concept if this
Yeah.
melody can work. And the version that I found that worked the best was a children's choir version of it. So I put that in really as a placeholder, and I think everybody kind of, oh yeah, that's great. We'll use a children's choir for so I was like, oh, I guess, yeah, that's actually that's lovely. Yeah, let's
It
do that.
works. Yeah.
And then when it came to the day of the recording, my daughter happened to not go to school that day, so I took her to work, which was at the studio where we recorded in LA, and we did the orchestra stuff in the morning. So she hung out with us in the booth and kind of saw all the recording sessions. And then the afternoon, we had a children's choir come in, and then they asked my daughter Mika, if she would like to join them and sing with them. So she said yes, and then she got to record on it, and now
Awesome.
she's embedded in Disney history
Isn't that
because
amazing?
so
I bet you like
I
in.
got some cool dad points for
Oh yeah, for
it.
sure. And like in 10, I mean, she probably appreciates it. How old is she? She's
She's
6,
8, yeah,
8.
8 and a half.
I mean, she appreciates it now, but can you imagine like when she's like 16, you go to
Right.
Disneyland, it's like, yeah, that's me.
Yes, she's already saying that to her friends, yeah, and they paid her, so she was really happy. They had to pay her.
Yeah, you have to, right? For a project like this, obviously you said like it's almost like a jigsaw puzzle with all these various pieces, parts need to fit in.
Oh, yeah.
How long was it from when you kind of got involved to the final product? Because a lot of work that needs to be done, right?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. I wanna say a few months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I wanna say maybe 3 months over. I mean, it's a little bit of, there's, like, some hurry up and wait moments,
Of course.
things get looked at, but
And what I love about it, again, spoiler alert, but you even had to squeeze in some Star Wars in there, which I thought was really,
oh,
really cool.
yeah, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
How
There
great
were
was that?
different iterations and experiments with it. Some of the stuff we can use. So John Williams' material is a little tricky because it's so revered, and John's agents they guard the music,
Of
and
course.
they don't like when people just use the themes in a short, out of context way. So, out of respect to that, and also some limitations that they have in terms of rights and performances, because some of the things in that show we did not record. We recorded on top of. Like, for
Mm.
example, I used the drums and the bass and the and some of the guitars and the keyboards from the Jonas Brothers track for a certain segment, and then we recorded our own section of it when it was doing different chords, trying to sound like those stems. And some of the orchestral stuff had existing strings but was missing brass, and vice versa. And some stuff, just needed brand new score. So working with the John Williams stuff is always a little trickier because you're a little more restricted unless you're doing an entire, Star Wars themed show, which
Sure.
has different, that's a different story.
No, that makes sense. And so once it was all done and it opened, were you there opening night? And kind of what was it like to
I
actually see
didn't
it?
go opening night,
Yeah.
but I went there when they were doing the final testing and kind of doing the previews for the park employees and for all
Yeah.
the executives, which is a great experience because you get to see it. So I got to see basically all the shows in one night, and the way they do it is they basically perform everything full
Yeah.
on, all the performers, and but it's like midnight or 1 a.m. So it's a little bit surreal. For people who work at Disneyland nightly, it's not, they get used to it. For somebody
Clearly.
like me that shows up at the park, twice a year to see an attraction, it's always exciting. And like you feel like you're doing something wrong because you're at the park after hours. So it's cool because it's quite surreal because like everybody's performing, acting out like there are thousands of kids, but there aren't.
Yeah.
And there's just like a bunch of adults with yellow vests, like 30 adults watching this massive parade going by. And then, you hear things like over the radio, like, Tinkerbell's 28 LEDs out, like, because they're still testing, and there's quality control at that
Yeah.
phase. So I went there and viewed it a couple of times that night, and it was awesome. It was great. But I haven't actually seen it with audience yet, so I'm excited to do that soon.
You should, because we were kind of chatting before it started. Like, if you see it on YouTube, people really, really like it. It's resonating with people. So I can't
Yes,
imagine that.
yes,
Yeah. Which,
yes.
how does that make you feel? It's got to feel. I mean,
It's
obviously,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you're making people happy, and it's one of the greatest things you can do, I think, especially with music. So it's great. It's wonderful. It's really, really great. And I read the comments on YouTube, and people like post the soundtrack versions, stripped.
Yeah.
I think it was also released in Tokyo. You can purchase it. The entire medley was released on their. I don't remember what part of it was, but maybe they released a 70th anniversary Disneyland album in Japan,
Huh.
but on a physical CD. So you can only purchase it on a physical CD. You can't stream it online. And I think that's because of the massive amounts of songs that are used in that thing.
Of course, and it's interesting, and it's a good segue to Tokyo Disney Sea, because I remember last we spoke, I was just about to go, and that's when we talked about you doing, you believe, Sea of Dreams, which was truly, truly spectacular. And I know you also said you did the new one, Dreams Take Flight. But you're right, though. One thing that struck me, Disney, Tokyo Disney is such an interesting place culturally. It's the same, but it's different in a lot of ways. But
Yeah.
they do sell a ton of physical media of music, and like you can buy dozens of CDs they have available of all this music. Is obviously something that it's very important to them to be able to have that, physical, media that they have to keep the songs on.
Yes, they do. I mean, it's a special place, Japan. They have their own music industry in a way, and they listen to CDs and they listen to cassettes and vinyl, and physical media is a happening thing in Japan. So
It
it's
is.
cool. Yeah, it's
It's
cool.
something. There's something to be said. Even now, not to go off topic, like we're retro, right? Like we buy vinyl, not as much.
Right.
We want to go back to the original, dropping the needle and hearing it, and there's something to be said about holding an actual record in
Tangible
your
thing.
hands.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And there's a physical experience to it too, looking at the booklet, and you have to put some work into it, and
Read the lyrics.
it's more of an event than just clicking, your mouse pad or your phone,
And download it and leave.
or double clicking your AirPod.
Totally, and just double tap on your AirPod. But talk about Dreams Take Flight. So obviously you've had quite a lot of experience in Tokyo Disney. How did this one take place? And tell us a little bit about the show and what you had to do for it.
The Dreams Take Flight is a cute little theater. It's a stage show that takes place at the Hunger Stage in the Disney Tokyo Sea.
Yep.
And it is a combination of original music that was written for the show, as well as some well-known Disney songs. And I came on board this project, I believe, sometime in the beginning of 24 or 25.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, the dates are a little. I think
Yeah,
25.
like
Yeah, 25.
everything's running together now.
And
Yeah.
and it's great. It's about half hour wall-to-wall music. There's I think 8 numbers or 9 numbers in it,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. It has some really wonderful original songs, and I got to record an orchestra on it and a rhythm section, and it was great little show. I highly recommend it.
And you wrote all the original music as well
I
as
didn't. Oh,
incorporated.
yeah. I'm sorry. My job on it. I should have mentioned
Yes,
my
sir.
job on it was an arranger and an orchestrator,
Gotcha.
and kind of like a music producer. So I did not write the songs. The songs were written by various. In fact, I believe Tyler was on your show,
Oh,
and
he
he
was. He
he
was.
wrote one of the songs, and
Oh, so cool.
I don't remember if Adam Goodman was on your show or not,
He's
but
not. No, he has not yet. Not yet. Yeah.
yeah, and Doug and Tova Litvin, I believe is their last name. They
Yeah.
they they wrote a song for it. So my job was to take all these original songs and then take the other numbers that were based off of existing Disney songs and kind of put it all together and produce all the numbers and then record the orchestra. I also conducted the orchestra.
Awesome.
We did
Yeah.
this all in Nashville with a great group of musicians, and it was awesome. And we recorded a lot of vocals for it. It's a very vocal heavy show and very eclectic. A lot of different styles. There's salsa and EDM and
Ah,
we got stomp, like kind of bucket drumming and pots and pans and metal, and there's a little bit of everything in it. It's a nice little show. It's very
yeah.
fun.
It unfortunately, it opened up after I was there last year, but what I did notice when I'm going there is this was a rookie mistake on our part. I didn't realize that you just can't walk into those shows. You need actual reservations to get into those shows, and a lot of times, those shows are even more popular than the rides are because those shows will sell out like that, and you gotta know how to work the system, and you need to get reservations because we were shut out of a couple of shows because we didn't know what the heck we were doing.
Oh wow, yeah, I know that you need to be quite an expert to go there. The only time I've been there, it was kind of as a visiting for Belief Sea of Dreams. So
Yeah.
I got to kind of roam around the park and and experience it solo, and it was still during COVID
Yeah.
restrictions.
Yeah.
So I know because I see what's happening now, like on YouTube videos, when I see like the lines and just the amount of people, even on like a non-busy day. So yeah, it became very popular, which I guess that was the goal. I mean, to make it, a popular park, and yeah, hopefully the show also helped that. And they also keep, doing things there and adding, expanding constantly. So, and they do it
The
so
Fantasy
well.
Springs was new.
Yes,
Yeah, all that stuff is
exactly.
new. I mean, I've not been to every Disney park around the world because we did go to Tokyo Disney and, Disneyland Paris, but I think Tokyo Sea might hot take, it might be actually my favorite park I've ever been to. I think that park is absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, a lot of people like it, especially for the theming
It's
and
amazing.
yeah, yeah. It's an experience to just walk around there is very cool.
Yeah, I know there's the one part that's supposed to be like the Port of New York,
Uh-huh.
and I'm a New Yorker, and I'm like, "Well, it's way too clean to actually be New York, but I get what they're going for right
Yeah.
now."
It is clean.
So those are kind of the 2 parks things, and really, I'm so excited to chat with you about Versa, which just came out on Disney Plus about 2 weeks or so ago. It is remarkable. It is emotional, it is heartfelt, it brings out so many different feelings you have. Talk a little bit about how you got involved. And another thing is there's no dialogue. It's all told through music, which really puts even more emphasis on what you did. So if you could just kind of talk about how the project came to be, how you became involved, and everyone should watch it. Bring a box of Kleenex with you because it is a beautiful, heartfelt, yeah, again, so many emotions. But talk about the project. Tell us how it came to be.
Yeah, it is an emotional project and a very personal project.
Yeah.
The way I came to learn about it is a fantastic music executive at Disney Animation named Matt Walker, whom I've known and worked with since his days were at the parks. And I think he told my agent or me that there's this very special project that takes place. I think he described it as something that takes place in the nebula
Mm,
and is a somewhat ethereal and cosmic and artistic and like just a very special thing. And they invited me to look at a yes, it's like a rough cut of it, but it was storyboards at the time.
Yeah.
But it already had these incredible sketches that Malcon did, Malcon Pierce, the director, the writer and director. And I also learned very quickly that this is about his own personal story, losing his son at birth and going through this experience with his wife of losing their first childbirth like that. And writing this movie and making this movie was part of his process of going through the grief and the emotions and the confusion and all the, it's a gamut of emotions that one goes through events like that. And all of that was already so inspiring. I mean, just sitting next to someone who's telling you this, and then on top of that, there was all these wonderful elements of dance and ice skating and ballet, and
Yes.
also the use of the Japanese clay art.
Yes. Of course, it's Sugi.
Kintsugi, exactly, where the artists take the clay, break it, and then they glue it together with gold, and the gold represents the healing or the beauty of something broken, if you will.
Yeah.
So it's a really nice metaphor, and it also gave the movie this cool look of this pretty special look. That also works as a metaphor, of course.
Yeah.
And there was an element of a cracking similar to a clay being cracked, but this would be more, your soul or your heart, and that's represented in the film. So all of those things were just so inspirational to work with, and quite moving, and also heavy responsibility, because
Absolutely.
you're oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of it was overwhelming, but in the best of ways. And and I think we had a conversation about what they want the music to do and what they had in mind, and there was also a need to compose some of the score in advance, because the idea was to have real ice skaters choreograph to the music. And then, so there was actual footage of these amazing ice skaters that created this beautiful choreography, and Malcon shot that in live action, and then they animate that motion. That's why it looks so real, because it is real.
Yeah.
And they were dancing to the demos that I was writing from the storyboards. And then after they did all that choreography, they kind of went off and they started to actually animate the short with that score that I wrote, but it was still a rough and a bit of a demo at that point. And then when they were ready with the animation, they came back and we started working on the score again, and kind of gave it another round and refined everything. And so that was kind of the process. And once we felt like we locked everything in, then we scheduled a big recording session with a 65-piece orchestra that I got to conduct.
Wow.
And that was also an incredible day and an experience. And we did it all here in Los Angeles at the Warner Brothers stage. And Malcon was there, and it was great. And a lot of my friends were there in the orchestra, and it felt like a family experience in a way. And my kids were there, and it was really awesome. And it was just the best. You couldn't ask for better collaborators. And as a composer, having to write something that doesn't have dialogue in it, and for a Disney animation movie of all things, it also is a challenge, but also inspiring. And it comes with all these things that we think about, like Fantasia or all these great, Disney shorts and the tradition. And so you obviously want to do a good job and and make your little mark in the Disney history if you can. So yeah, all of it was just so inspiring and just so wonderful to work on.
Yeah, it's a lot of kinetic motion. I think it's like a lot constant motion, and that comes from the skaters and the whole ethereal nature of it. I guess what inspired you? Because the theme is so beautiful and it works so well. What did you draw upon to kind of bring that music to life?
we wanted to find something that we could use in different movements. We almost like wanted to approach it almost like a suite of ideas, or like I don't want to say a symphony, but almost like it has I mean, not almost. It has movements in it and different acts, and they're each represented almost like a symphonic movement. So we wanted to find something that could be a theme that could work throughout the film. And there were different things that I was like thinking about, like the idea of threes, because there were the three of them, or
Sure.
starting in two and going to three, and then the really four. If it's there's different ways of kind of just like big ideas that that you can kind of then try to translate to music. It could be a good starting point. So that was one of them. And then something that could work at playing different emotions. So because we're really kind of going through joy and love into loss and grief, and then healing and hope.
Mm.
And all of these emotions have to come across in the music. I mean, they're already there in the animation, but the music is really, my job was to really amplify all of that. And the theme that we ended up landing was something that allowed me to go through these different emotions with the same melody and kind of take you over the course of the film with it. So that was the idea behind it.
And I guess the timbre and the theme it's a little bit astral out of space, right? But it's also very grounded. Did you draw upon any of your early musical influences to kind of have that kind of theme that worked from both a emotional level as well as kind of that space celestial type level?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think because I'm using a lot of it is based off of a major chord, and this distance, it's a major seventh.
Yeah,
There's this big. It's a little bit of an open sound. There's something very nebulous about it, very open and very like it's vast and endless in a way. So I think that helped it. But there's also something sweet and innocent and also lullaby-like,
totally.
which was also very important because there was a theme of going into the nursery room and this little mobile star that is that was meant for Cooper for their son, and all of that kind of has the associations of a lullaby, if you will. So I think the music is also touching on some of that. That this melody touches on some of that, and then the theme expands. So it kind of, I think those leaps and that openness and these musical intervals, subconsciously they create a feeling of vastness. And then of course there's the orchestration and also the use of electronics that I think also kind of takes it into space a little bit. And that's something that was very important to Malcon, that the score will be utilizing electronics and pulsating synths and reminiscing of, we're talking about 80s music actually. And
Totally.
so there's like some of those pulsating sounds, and it also feels very celestial. And we also used my friend Tori Letzler, who is featured as a vocalist on it, and she represents mom. So she represents mom, and the more kind of aggressive stuff that is happening with the orchestra against it represents dad, who doesn't really know how to process everything he's feeling. He's escaping. He's trying to get mom to dance and to be all right and to kind of move on, but mom is shattered and she wants to go back to the nursery and embrace, accept the loss, while dad is confused really. And he runs away from it, and that pool, there's a scene where dad kind of runs off and they go off to different they go off on different ways, and there's a great kind of moment where like Tori is singing over this aggressive stuff that is happening with the orchestra, and that was another way to kind of try to represent the mom and dad musically. And eventually dad comes back and he sees that mom is beautiful because she, no, it's making me tear now
I know,
just thinking about
100%.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, so all of these ideas, we were trying to use as many of them in the music as we could. The idea of mom and dad represent music, and the pool, and that trying to run away and then coming back to it, and the aura that mom has when dad comes back. So it's really just, I mean, for a composer, it's just an amazing playground. So the hard part was just kind of finding the tone and how to glue all of that together, because it's
Yeah.
also such abstract ideas when you hear about them, and the animation is kind of evolving. So it's not like it didn't look the way it looks right away. I did see some shots of what it's going to look like, but it's a little abstract. So it was kind of hard trying to match the colors and kind of making it all feel like the music is one with the footage and it's not superimposed on it.
Yeah. And, in addition to the theme, which carries through, also the use of dynamics and tempo, it just kind of really narrates and drags you along, just like it's supposed to do. Because, like I said, there's no words or any dialogue, so you got to have the music guide you from theming as well as tempo and tune and everything else.
That's right. Yeah, it
Mm.
really swells around, and you're right about there's a lot of different tempos and a lot of different dynamics, and that's also to emulate, this storm of emotions
Of
and
course. Yeah.
and the turmoil that one goes through, and the highs and the lows of going through birth and in general. It's such a incredible thing. There's like two big moments in life, right? Like when we're born and when we move on, and
Yeah.
the movie really touches on those moments, like in a big way, and in a way they break and shatter in order to heal again. So it's almost a reincarnation, almost. So there's different ways to think about it. It's really big ideas done on the biggest stage, right, in space.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the challenge was the main challenge was just kind of dialing in, finding the theme, and then finding the tone that didn't feel too big, like it's like some sort of action adventure movie, because it's definitely not that,
It's
but
personal.
also
It's personal. Yeah.
emotional, but also grounded and also serious at
Yeah.
times, but always having the Disney twinkle on it, and it's still a Disney movie, and it's still, it's still going to be on Disney Plus,
Yeah.
so that was the challenge, and I don't think there's a lot of movies that Disney. I think it was kind of a very special, bold movie of Disney to make, and we didn't really have any template to look at. Some of those Disney movies or shows that I work on, I can look at what my peers have done previously, but on this one there was really nothing quite like that exactly. So that was
It,
the biggest
not
challenge about it.
Yeah, it's like a blank slate, like, not with any level of so many different compelling, competing emotions, and, when I remember when you first talked about the movie coming out, it must have been a year or so ago. I think it was only premiered in LA in the theaters, right? It was not an opening film for any Disney movie. If you know, what kind of got it the broader release to be able to put it on Disney Plus so people can experience it and see it?
I think it had a really strong reception at some of the film festivals that it
Yeah,
played at, and I think because it's such a heavy subject matter and it's based on a real story, I think nobody really knew how audiences would take it, and
sure.
what exactly what's the best way to release it. But I don't get involved in that part. I usually we make the movie, and then
Mm,
the studio decides what to
sure.
do with it. So I'm not told what the reasons are to when and how they release movies. I'm very glad they released it though on Disney
That's the
Plus.
most important part,
And
yeah,
it was also awesome to see it at the El Capitan for a week. It was playing right after Snow White. So
yeah.
that was cool to see it on a big screen. And it played in a bunch of film festivals, film animation shorts. And yeah, so I think because just it got good strong audience reaction, and I'm very happy that they released it.
Yeah, everything I've seen and heard, reading the comments or whatever, and even the critics' reviews, it's pretty acclaimed. I think both thematically as well as musically. It's a very personal, emotional, important thing. It's like you said, it's very new for Disney. So just an unbelievable job. So it's just, again, and not only that, you can not only watch it, but you can listen to it. You can stream all the movements on
That's right.
Apple
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yes, in fact, we have a Dolby Atmos release of the music. So if you listen on Apple Music, you can hear it in Dolby Atmos. And if you set up at home, you can listen to it, in surround and kind of have the music really, wash over you. And that's really how it was designed. We recorded it that way. So yes, it's available to listen. And I set the soundtrack to be similar to the movie, so it's set up in these different movements. So hopefully you get the same experience listening to it than you do watching it.
Definitely, and I think that's part of the magic of music, right? Is you can watch something, and then even if you're not watching anymore, the music will stay with you. And I think your score certainly does that because you're still feeling all those emotions, which is just kudos to you for doing such a great job on it.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice to hear. Thank you so much.
And also, along with that, I don't want to be remiss in saying you're going to be on XM Radio this weekend, I think, because you're going to be promoting not only Versa, but kind of giving your own favorite Disney hits also on, was it Be Our Guest for the Day on Sirius XM Disney Hits? How was that?
That was just so fun to do. I got to host the show and pick my favorite 4 Disney songs and dedicate them to my friends and my family. And it was really cool. And it was awesome. It was, when I heard it, it was kind of like, Mom, I'm on the radio, So, but I get just as much enjoyment listening to your show. And, it's another pinch me moment when I get to be on. Every time I was like, what? People want to hear me talk. That's crazy.
It's awesome. No,
So yeah, no, it was wonderful. It was really cool. It was really special, and I'm honored and glad I got to do it.
and that's on this weekend. I'll probably going to release it this weekend. So this podcast, so
I
people
believe
will
so.
still be able to catch it, and I'm sure they'll do all kinds of reruns as well. So which is terrific. And I also, again, not to be remiss, I know you're still working on it, but I do want to let people know that you are scoring Scary Movie 6. That'll be out June 5th as well, which is very exciting. When that happens and it comes out, we can always talk more about it. But what a great honor for you. And I cannot wait to see it in the movie. I've seen the trailers. It looks funny as hell and topical and great. So good for you for working on that. I can't wait to hear about it.
Thank you, Jonathan. It is. It's funny, and it is all of those things. It's wild, and it's also fun musically. It's very fun to do. So I'm excited to talk about it maybe next time.
100%. Yeah.
If I
Not
go
until it's
see
ready.
it,
That's for
coming
sure.
out June 5th. It'll be everywhere.
I will definitely be seeing. I've seen all the other ones. There's no way in hell I'll be missing it if you're writing the music for it. So I'm
Awesome.
gonna be the guy like, I know that guy when it comes on the screen.
Yes, awesome.
And from what you can say outside of everything else, anything you are working on that you can talk about, or still kind of stuff under wraps? Just, I guess, what are you working on? How can people find you? How can people follow you?
So you can follow me on Instagram. It's Haim Mazar Music. And I also have a website that I recently refreshed. So I try to keep it updated with everything that I do. Now I set it up with my friend helped me build it with this AI thing.
Nice.
So it means that I now have access to, directly change everything on my website, with a few clicks. So I'm going to use it to try to keep everything updated. So my website is www.haimmazar.com, HAIMMAZAR.com. So yeah, those are the best 2 places to follow kind of what's the latest. I can't say, other than Scary Movie, I can't say what it is. I'm working on another project that is also very exciting. And hopefully we can talk about it next time. We always
I was
have
gonna say
something for next time.
That's the best thing about it is you can do things and we can keep having you back on to talk about it. It's very exciting. The
Yes.
more Chaim, the better. And what I'll do is I will, in the show notes, make sure that your Instagram and your website are posted so people
Awesome.
can follow you. But also, again, not to forget, Versa Plus on Disney Plus. Listen to it, stream it in Atmos. Scary Movie 6 coming out on June 5th. And listen to Chaim on Sirius XM this weekend. Chaim,
Right.
always a pleasure. Cannot wait to keep continuing to learn about the kind of things you're doing and having you on again. You have the golden ticket. You're always welcome back to talk about all the great stuff you're doing.
Thank you, Jonathan. And I also just like to add that I think I speak on behalf of a lot of people who listen to you, creators and listeners. I'd like to thank you for all the work that you do and interviewing all these amazing guests and talent, because it's really a niche thing and not a lot of people do this sort of stuff, especially the music for the parks. And it's great. I listen to it myself and I learn so much from your wonderful guests and your interview. So thank you for that. And I'm sure everybody else feels the same. So the feeling is mutual.
That is so kind of you to say. And again, what you do to the parks brings, again, with Tapestry of Happiness, it brings joy. So believe me, the world needs a lot of that now. So thank you for doing what you do also.
Thank you, Jonathan.
All right. We will talk to you soon and good luck with everything and come on again whenever you want.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I want to again thank Haim Mazar for joining us and sharing his emotional journey composing the music of Versa. I cannot recommend highly enough that you watch it and experience what I think is some of the best emotional storytelling that Disney has to offer. And now, with that, on to Disney music news for this week. The big news is that Disney announced the newly imagined version of the Rock and Roller Coaster will be opening on May 26th. And for those of you who probably know, this replaces the attraction that featured classic rock icons Aerosmith. The new track listing for the ride has been released and it includes 5 songs, each performed by Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem, along with special guest vocalists for several of them. So the songs are... The first one is Song 2 by Blur, performed by the Electric Mayhem. Song 2 by Blur is the woohoo song that you heard at the top of the segment in what is no doubt a massive copyright violation. But I want you to get a feeling of what that song is. And at first, to be honest, I kind of wondered where that song idea came from. Then I heard it, and I figured for those of you who've been on Rock and Roller Coaster with Aerosmith, when you're shot out at like 60 miles an hour, kind of having that riff and the woohoo in the background is a pretty cool way to take off for the ride. So I totally get why they put it in there. The second song is Born to Be Wild by Steppenwolf, again performed by Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem, but with special guest vocalist Camille the Chicken. And again, if you asked me, hey, Jonathan, what's on your bingo card for what songs are going to be on the soundtrack for the Rock and Roller Coaster featuring the Muppets, Born to Be Wild might not have been one of them. Born to Be Wild with Camille the Chicken definitely was not. But again, it's one of those things you just got to take a beat and digest it. And if those of you who might have heard the Muppet version of Forget You by CeeLo Green, also featuring Camille the Chicken, this is probably a sequel to that, which is hysterically funny. So first of all, anything with Camille the Chicken singing is great. And I think for what Disney's probably trying to do with this attraction, I am 100% certain that it fits the theme perfectly. And it's going to be one of those things I think people are going to want to hear. The third track is Love Roller Coaster, originally by the Ohio Players. This one's going to feature Questlove and Jennifer Hudson. The fourth is Rock, Rock Till You Drop by Def Leppard, and that's going to actually feature Def Leppard themselves playing along with Dr. Teeth. I guess that it checks the box for the replacing one classic rock icon with another. And then the last track is Walking on Sunshine, originally by Katrina and the Waves. This one's going to be featuring Kelly Clarkson. And from what I've read and understand, there's also probably going to be some bonus tracks, maybe with more traditional, original, classic Muppet songs that are going to be in the queue, before the queue, when you get out around the courtyard. They haven't officially announced it yet, but that's what common consensus is that's going to be involved. And so there are 5 tracks. My guess and my assumption is going to be much like Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. When you get on the ride and the computer, the algorithm will determine which one of these songs that you will hear for the duration of that ride. I think the ride is only 2 minutes or so. So it's safe to assume that it'll be one of those 5 songs. So I'm curious to know what your favorite song is. What song would you wish you heard when you go on the ride? And maybe what songs were not included do you think that might have been a good fit? My mind originally and initially went to Rock and Roll All Night by Kiss. I think that would be a fantastic collaboration between Kiss and Disney, but that's just on my wish list. So let me know what you think and what song you wish would have been on there and what song you wish you will hear when you go on the ride. But kind of continuing on with the news, there's also been some announcements. There are going to be lots of guest stars. They're going to have cameo appearances throughout the queue, throughout the ride. They include Aquafina, Danny Trejo, Darren Criss, John Stamos, Neil Patrick Harris, Travis Barker, Yvette Nicole Brown, Wayne Brady, and Weird Al Yankovic. So sounds like all the celebrities and all the stars want to be part of this attraction. The Muppets, at least for me, growing up, were such an important part of my childhood. I know it's had its ups and downs from a franchise over the course of the past several years, but hopefully this will be kind of a new Muppety version and a new Muppety renaissance, a Muppetsance, that will be ushering in with this particular ride. Up next, and I think this is extraordinarily cool, in honor of National Deaf History Month, Disney announced it will debut 3 music videos that are reanimated to feature characters like Moana, Elsa, and Mirabel signing in American Sign Language. And for those of you who have been to, have seen ASL interpreters usually have someone signing along to the music so people can hear and understand it with a little in the bottom of the screen or in a live performance. Here, Disney worked with animators to actually have the characters themselves perform the sign language while they're singing these songs in these 3 clips. And the 3 imagined songs include The Next Right Thing from Frozen 2, the classic We Don't Talk About Bruno from Encanto, and Beyond from Moana 2. And this is called Disney Songs in Sign Language. It's debuting on Disney Plus on April 27th. You can find it there. The project was directed by, it's an interesting fun fact, by Hiram Osmond, who's a veteran animator and director at Disney, whose father is Viral Osmond, who's actually Donnie and Marie Osmond's older brother, and who himself is deaf. So in collaboration with the artistic director DJ Kurz and a team at Los Angeles' Deaf West Theater, a team of more than 20 animators used sign language references created specifically for Disney's Song and Sign Language series. So the first part of this series is going to be airing, as I mentioned, on April 27th, and I just think it's so awesome that for those of us who love and are so drawn into the power and emotion of Disney music, that Disney is doing things to kind of include people who can't hear so they can experience what we find so amazing about it. So good for them, and looking forward to seeing and hearing how that looks. Next up, in Disney news, there was recently Disney Night on American Idol. That was, I think, the week before last. There were the 9 remaining contestants who got a chance to hang out at Disneyland Resort. They got a chance to be mentored by award-winning music superstar and American Idol alum Jennifer Hudson, who, as you may recall, I just mentioned a couple of seconds ago, is going to be involved in one of the Muppets songs, Love Roller Coaster. She's going to be singing that along with Questlove. And there were performances from Disney hits Descendants and Toy Story, and some appearances from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And so the performances from the contestants who were left involved were Braden Rumfeld sang Remember Me from Coco. The contestant Brooks sang The Climb from Hannah Montana the movie. Chris Tungseth sang Let It Go from Frozen. Daniel Stallworth sang A Whole New World from Aladdin. Hannah Harper performed Almost There from The Princess and the Frog. Jordan McCullough sang The Colors of the Wind from Pocahontas. Kayla Richardson sang Circle of Life from The Lion King. Kendall sang Butterfly Away from Hannah Montana the movie. And Lucas Leon sang Life is a Highway from Cars. And so 9 contestants performed. Apologies if you haven't watched yet, you're not caught up but spoiler alert, if you're interested, and plug your ears if you're not, the 2 contestants that were sent home were Kendall and Lucas Leon. And the last piece of Disney music news is that there's new music from Disney Adventure World from Paris that is now streaming. And if you follow that news, we saw the grand transformation of Disney Adventure World at Disneyland Paris with the debut of The World of Frozen and Adventure Way at the park. Now, the sounds of Adventure Way, which are kind of the promenade leading into that section of the park, are available to stream on all major musical platforms. The album is composed of 19 tracks, 17 of which are various parts of the symphonic score that can be heard in the new area. The remaining 2 are the Adventure Way theme. One is a piano and orchestra version, the second a piano version of the theme. These are composed by French composer Philippe Rombi, and the recording is performed by the London Symphony Orchestra, so that's a pretty big deal. Adventure Way is the new promenade that I mentioned. It links together the worlds of Disney Adventure World, which is formerly Walt Disney Studios Park, and the original background music score is a first for Disneyland Paris since 1992, and the original soundtrack heard in Discoveryland. The composer, Philippe Rombi, has been nominated 4 times for the César Awards, notably for the film Joyeux Noël, whose soundtrack was recorded also by the London Symphony Orchestra at the legendary Abbey Road Studios. He recorded the music for Adventure Way the same way in the same place during the summer of 2025 with 84 musicians of the iconic orchestra. And another super fun fact, it was a return to roots for Rombi, who worked as a pianist at Disneyland Hotel when Disneyland Paris opened in 1992. So what a great full circle moment for him to start out playing piano and now to have this enormous, important new musical adventure coming through to the parks. And that is Disney Music News for this week. That is it for this episode of the Music Behind the Magic podcast. And thanks again to Haim Mazar for joining us. And as always, I want to thank all of you all around the world for helping to continue to build this community and share our love for Disney music and all that represents. The truth is, we live in some crazy times, and that's why it's so important to keep sight of the things that are important to us. Family, friends, community, and music, which is truly a universal language that can always bring people together. So with that, I look forward to speaking with you all again soon. And until then, have a magical musical day.